Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of a deck of cards. Now, I came across and downloaded a deck of cards, or at least the textures, right? So, what we can do is pop it in here. Okay, and once we have done that, we're going to be looking good, hopefully. And there we go. Okay, so if we go back to our cards, then go back to our data table, we can open up our textures, and get our cards, and we can basically build them up, right? So we can quickly get our cards done, right? There's our 9, and I believe the 10s are up here, yeah. So 10, got our jack, our queen, our king, then we've got our ace of clubs, that's the queen of clubs, there's the ace here, okay, it's not what we wanted to do, but anyway, so we can go to our 4 of clubs, our 5, our 6, our 7, and our 8, and there we go. Okay, so now when we run this, we haven't quite done it yet, but that's okay because we can quickly fix this up. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to our cards, we're going to go to our card, right, widget, and we're going to swap things about a bit. Right, we're going to take away our card name, right, and this button is going to end up 200 by 290. This canvas panel is going to kind of end up the same. That's going to be 200 by 290. Right? And then in our hand, we're going to do a couple of things here, right? This is going to be size to content, and we're going to center it there. We're going to compile. Alright, we're going to zero that. Okay. Hit our compile again. We're going to go back to our card, and in our graph, right, we're not going to do this. Okay, but what we are going to do is in our border, we're going to set it to a variable, right? Then we're going to go back to our graph. We're going to get our border. We might not be doing this actually. Yeah, we might not be doing that. We're just going to do it on the button. And we're going to set the style. Okay, and the next thing we're going to do is make a button style. Then for our normal, we're going to make a slate brush. Okay. We're going to bring this down. We're going to go 200 by 290 because that's the size of our images, right? Then we're going to pop the image in there. Then we can do that and do that. We might want to change the hover slightly, but for now we'll leave it at that. Compile that. If we press play now, voila, we have our cards. Okay. Now there is an issue with border here. Not much of one, but we'll fix it anyway. We've got the border here, right, and it's black. We don't want that. We're going to set it to transparent. Then we're going to OK it, compile it, play. And there we go. Okay. And we can theoretically just add all of our cards if we want. Right. So we can go 9C. We can make that 9. Open this up again. Right. we can just add 23, then basically 10 C. We know that our 10s are at the start. And then we can do 10. Okay. If there's anything you want to see me doing after we finish, just putting a few more of these in, let me know in the chat. I'll be happy to look into it for you. Right, so this is going to be JC 11. That's going to go in there. So that's 25, 26, and that's going to be QC, and 12, and this one it's going to be KC, value 13, and there is our king. Right, so that should give us an even set of options here, right? Okay. So our next thing is what we're going to do is we're going to do like a main HUD, okay? So in the cards we're just going to have another button, right? So I'm going to add that user widget, and I'm going to say W HUD, even though it's not really a HUD, we'll do it anyway, right? And what we'll do is we'll just add a button. Okay, and then we shall wrap it with a canvas panel, and then we'll wrap that with a canvas panel, right? So basically we're going to set it, let's say here and here, then 1. That'll do. All we want is a button to shuffle the cards, okay? That's all we want. So on our button, so we need our player controller here. Right, so go to our player controller, open that. In fact, we don't really. Let's see how this goes, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to this is a function, right? So yeah, okay. So we want, what we really want is an event here. So we'll create a custom event, right? And basically what we'll do is we'll make it new cards. Okay. And we'll compile that. Then what we'll do is we'll create a function, right? Deal new cards. Okay, now we're going to look at our create deck, right? Because some of it's going to come from here and some of it's not. Okay. So what we're going to do is basically this part. Okay, so we're going to copy that. Now we might have to make some of our, like, we've got this temp deck, right? So that ain't gonna work. So what we're gonna have to actually do is use our card deck. Right. And we're going to have to do a little bit of work in there as well, right? But first of all, what we're going to have to do in our create deck, at the end of it all, we're going to have to say hand of cards, get a hand of cards. Okay, actually we're not. We're going to get our temp deck, right? And we're going to set our handy card deck, right? So that's going to end up looking like that. Let's see what's going on here. Not a lot, so that's screwed up, but anyway. Right, so really what we should do is, this should be card deck from here on out. So that should go in there, and that should go in there, right? And then this should come from the card deck. Right, so that should go in there. Once we've created our temporary deck, right, we should be done with it. Okay, so we've done that. We've got deal new cards, right? So let's get rid of that and that. Now, here's the thing. Well, actually, there's a couple of things here. In that, we need, when we deal a card, we need to swap it right. Now, I don't know if there's probably not. Right. So, what we're going to have to do right is basically move the cards, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to have to save a card here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a local variable, and we're going to say temp card to sort. Okay, and that's going to be a struct card. I'll explain what I'm doing in a second, okay? But basically what we're doing is we're going to move that card from position 0 to position 51 in the array. And we're going to move everything else up 1. And then place that card back in position 51. Okay? So what we're going to do here is we're going to set this to there. Right? Then what we're going to do is we're going to do a for loop and that's going to be to the length -1. Okay, and this is where some of the magic's going to happen. Okay, and we're going to start at 1. Right, then we're going to get our card deck and we're going to swap array elements again. Right, but this time we're going to swap the index, right, with index -1. Okay. And then once that has completed, we're going to do one there. Once that's completed, right, we're going to get our card deck again. So I'm going to duplicate that. Then we're going to get the length. And you've guessed it, -1. Right? And then we're going to set array element. And we're going to set this array element with our temporary card. Okay. Then we're going to plug this in. Okay. Now, funnily enough, we're going to have to do the same thing in our create deck, and then that's what we'll do just now, right? We'll do that. So we're going to copy that temp card to sort, right? We're going to create another local variable. So it's temp card to sort. And it's a struct card. So that's all good. We're going to paste that in. That's going to go to there. Then we're going to get the length. And we're going to say -1. That's per normal. Right? And then we're going to go to there. And as you remember, this starts at 1. Don't know what I was doing there, to be honest. Right, so this one start, this is -1. And the first index is 1. So we compile that, and there we go. Right? So, we'll check at this point, everything's still working. No reason why it shouldn't be, but we'll have a look anyway. There we go. Okay. We've not got our button yet, but we're going to sort that out in a minute. So this is our, yeah, we're going to do our new cards in a minute. Right, so that's going to basically say deal new cards. Okay, we're going to compile that. Then we're going to go to here. And we're going to create widget. And that's going to be WHUD. Right. And then add it to viewport. Okay, compile that. So when we run this, we've now got our button, which is going to deal as a new set of cards. So if we go into our HUD, I think what we'll do here, we'll just move it a bit so it's not quite so right in the corner. Right, then if we select this, right, we can get player controller, then top, cast the top down controller, new cards. Okay, compile that, and if we now go to here, we go to deal new cards. Okay, then basically what we can do is right, so that's okay. That we don't actually need to do that, to be honest. That's basically a shuffle, right? Whereas if we want to just pick it off the top of the deck as it stands, not that you would know, right? But it kind of makes more sense, because if you shuffle every time we do this, then basically the cards that have just been put into the waste pile could come up next again, right? If we do it like this, they won't. Okay, so what we want to say is handy cards, get clear now. This is obviously a very particular usage, right? It's not just a matter of picking random cards all the time, it's actually making them into a deck of cards, right? So once we've done this, basically what we need to do right is, because at the moment what we're doing is we're creating our widget, which is the hand, right? So if we open up the hand and we go to the graph, right, we want to basically do this again. Right, so what we want to do is get UGP cards, and basically we clear the children. Right, now we don't need to do it on event construct because it's already going to be clear, right? But we can now add a custom event on here, and we can just call it new. That's going to go to there. that's going to go to there. Compile that. Then back in our controller, when we deal new cards, we say get widget, get all widgets of class, and it's going to be the hand. Then need to say for each. Not that we actually really need to do this, but we could do this in another way, but I'm just going to go with this. We're going to do new. And that should be us. Let's give it a go, shall we? Press play. We get our cards. Click that. We get new cards, new cards, new cards, new cards, new cards. Right, I'm going to argue that that's not working right. Nine, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 8, 9, 7. Weird. Right, so the interesting thing here is what our card deck looks like. Right. So what we really want to look at is something here. Right, let's have a look. Well, it's done it this time. It's got jacks there. Alright. Now, this card at this point should be the jack. Or, no, actually, no, it shouldn't be. It's when we... Right. So, if I press play, right, the bottom 5 cards should be jack, jack, 8, 6, 7, right? But you'll notice that these two are basically back. So whatever's going on here, they aren't getting shuffled right. So we should be getting these cards, right? We should be getting 6, 7, Jack of Hearts, 8 of Clubs, Jack of Clubs. Which we are. Right? But for whatever reason, when we hit this button again, these have managed to find their way back to the top of the pile. Ah, wait a minute. This has to change slightly. Right? We don't actually do that. We get index 0. And then we add this. Right? We do it 5 times, but once we've moved the card, we want the one at 0 again. Right? So, yeah, that's a bit of a blooper. Right. Now, I'm not too sure if that's actually the final answer, but we'll check it anyway. Well, that's not going to work because we've got 3 of the same, so that's not right. Wonder what happens if we press that. We've got weird stuff going on. Right, so let's just have a think about this. Right. So we're getting this card, right? We're adding it to the hand of cards. I wonder if we did it in a slightly different way. Let's try something, right? What I'm thinking here is, if we get this, right, we add it to the handy cards, right, then we remove it, from here. This might be a slightly easier way of doing it, even though it's kind of weird. Right? Say we remove it, and then basically we just add it again. right? So it automatically becomes item 52, right? And then once it's done all of that, we can do it complete. If we can manage not to muck it up. Right, there we go. And we can tidy that up a bit later. If we do it this way, we don't need these anymore. Right, we can do that. We can duplicate that. And that can go there. Right. So this is not in Create Deck, right? So let's use it here. So we delete that, right? We delete all that. And there's the funny thing, of course. We weren't setting this. That might be what it was. That might have been the problem in the first place, but this is actually a much simpler way of doing it. Right, so we're not doing that either. That's a load of rubbish. So let's think this through. Right. What we're doing actually is that, right? It's because it's a different array, right? And then we're going to duplicate that. We can remove index 0. We might swap this about. And then we're going to add this one. Right? So we're going to save that. We're going to go back to here. And we're going to remove this. And then we're going to say remove index 0. I'm doing some card shuffling and deck stuff. Card deck stuff, that is. So we can do that, save all, press play. There we go. Now, those cards, remember, should be at the bottom of our array. JC, let's JC QC 77 Jack, and we should have new cards here, which we have, and there's our JC QC 7H7CJ hearts. So that's perfect, right? So this is not just picking random cards. Basically what it's doing is it's getting a set of cards, it's shuffling them, putting them into a set order, right? Oh yeah, that was about a week ago, or something. It was quite a while ago, but thank you anyway. Right, so basically now what we're doing is we're shuffling through the cards, right? And these two cards should always come out together as well as the first ones. Remember it might not have been that one actually. Right, but you can see they're in the same order, right? Let's just clarify that by doing it again, right? And I'll show you what I mean. We should always get 9 of clubs, 10 of clubs, okay? They should always be in this order. Let's say 6, 9 and 10, okay? Six, 9, 10. Okay? Because we've got an odd number, there's the 6 and the 9, and there's the 10. Okay? There was the 6, 9 and 10. There again, 6, 9 and 10. So just create a widget and add it to the viewport. Then when you're not taking damage, just hide it. Set it to invisible. Set visibility equals false. So as I was saying guys, this is a pack of cards, right? Where you're using your what do you call it? Discard pile. Your discard pile is staying in the same order that these cards are getting used, right? So you'll see that's what I mean by the 6, 9 and 10 were always in the same order, right? And it would be the same for any of the cards. So like if I stop it and start it again, no, it's just a little side thing that I was looking at, okay? So we've got 2, 10, 8 of clubs. There's our 2, 10, 8 of clubs. Two, 10, 8 of clubs. Okay. So as I said, it is basically cycling through the discard pile, So basically what it's doing is when you take a card out of the top, it goes back in at the bottom, right? Simple as that. So I'm gonna go and grab a cigarette, guys. So hit the like and subscribe. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back in a minute or two. Okay. No, it's not a new card game, Jess. I'm not working on a card game. It was just an interesting mechanic for something that I was doing, having a look at for somebody. So, yeah. So the last thing that we actually need to do is basically another button, right? So if we basically put text in here and say, click on the text, right? And this would actually just be deal, right? So we've got one other thing, which would be shuffle, right? Now, shuffle would just be shuffling the discard pile, right? So, if we duplicate that, right? And we were to put shuffle, surprisingly enough. Right. So, shuffle is going to be a slightly different thing, right? Shuffle is going to be like create deck, except we're just going to use the cards in the top 46 places, or however many it is, right? If we're dealing out 5 cards, we're going to shuffle however many cards less the ones that we're using or are in our hand, okay? So this is going to be shuffle deck, okay? And what we're going to do is kind of similar to this part. So we're going to copy this because it's going to use this code. Right? So we're going to go to shuffle deck. We're going to paste that. Oh, that should be -1. Oh yeah, it does that, doesn't it? Right. But it's not going to be that, right? We're actually going to minus the length of the hand of cards. Right? let's compile that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to our HUD. We're going to go to our shuffle button. We're going to go to on-clicked. And we're going to duplicate that. I'm going to say shuffle deck. Okay. So we've got 10 and ace of hearts together. Okay. We're going to deal. And then we're going to shuffle. And now you'll notice these are not together. Right? But let's look at these ones. 2 of clubs, 5 of hearts, right? Shuffle. There's the 2 of clubs. There's the 5 of hearts. Right, so that's not good. Unless that was really lucky. 2 of clubs, 5 of hearts shouldn't be together. There's the 2 of clubs. It's not near the 5 of hearts. Where's the 5 of hearts? Hey guys, Chips, how you doing? Where's the 5 of hearts? There's the 5 of hearts, not next to the 2 of clubs. Okay, so let's just check that one more time. Right, 2 and 6 of hearts are together. Right, we use them, shuffle, deal. There's the 6 of hearts, 2 of hearts is nowhere to be seen, which is good. 2 of hearts is there. So if we keep dealing now, these should stay in the same order. There's our 6 of hearts, and if we go to the next page, yeah, we see our 2. So that's correct. So we shuffle again. And you'll notice that 6 of hearts has come up, right? Which is possible because we're shuffling the discard pile, right? So that is a possibility, right? So we've got Jack, we've got ace and Jack of clubs, right? Which if we keep going should come up together again. There's the ace, there's the Jack, right? If we do that again, there's the ace and the Jack together, as expected. But now when we do it and shuffle them, we're shuffling the discard pile, okay? There's the ace, and the Jack isn't actually next to it. Right? I'm losing track of which cards I'm trying to keep track of here. Right? So let's go for 2 the same. Right, we're going for the 5 and the 2, right? So if we scoop round, our 5 and 2 are together. Right? We put them in the discard. We shuffle. There's the 2 of hearts, nowhere near the 5. Where's the 5? There's the 5, nowhere near it. So that was 2 and 5 in hearts. We can shuffle them again. There's the 5 of hearts, still nowhere near the 2. The 2 again. This would be much more obvious if we have all 4 suits. Right, but this is going to work for any number of cards, and it's also going to work for any, you know, any variations of cards. Okay? So, for example, if we now added, like, let's say, diamonds, and there, so that would be 1D. Value of 13. Right, got that. That's going to be 2D. Value of 2. This could be anything. This could link to your like skills and stuff depending on the card. So this is 2 of diamonds. Three of diamonds. This name doesn't actually really matter. We could put anything in there. It's just another sort of identifier that I'm using. It's of no significance at the moment. Right, but now we've got 30 cards. Okay, so there's a 4 of diamonds. There's a 3. There's our ace and 2. So we've seen them all. They're all there. I mean, they're going to be all there anyway because as a, you know, swap them in. It's just basically using all the cards, right? So that's 31. That's 32. Right. Do my best here not to actually get this right. So you might be wondering, right? Rightfully so. Why am I doing this? Well, the reason I'm doing this is because, remember, I can export this, right? I can copy the code. So if anything ever comes up where somebody says, can you do a card game? I can basically say, yeah, I've got the base, you know, the shuffling, the dealing, the discard pile, etc. And if I need to expand on it, then it's easy for me to do so. So it's always a handy thing to have done this type of thing. So if you suddenly become obsessed by making a card game, then you are not starting from scratch. You already have some card mechanics that you can go back and basically copy and then modify to your whim. Right, so this one is 8D. I'll just do all these first. It's 9D. And 10 is right up at the top for some reason. Because of the naming convention. That was 10D. We've got the jack. Right. So we've got 8D. We've got 9D. As I said, these values aren't going to make any difference till I actually do something with them, which I may never do. But always handy to have things like this in your toolkit. And any practice on a new mechanic is never a waste of time, because you just never know when you're going to use it, and you never know. Actually, the funny thing is, you never know when you're going to use something like it, right? Because you might need, it might not necessarily be a card. It might be that you're trying to do the same thing with some other object. Right, you know, like sorting stuff, sorting arrays, doing all that good stuff. And 13. It's actually 12. Okay. So do that. Save all. We can stop it. Press play again. And you can see we're starting to get diamonds in the pile. Okay. Now, the interesting thing about this is that if you do this, right, and then you make it an online game, obviously, this would be done on the server, right? So the server would be shuffling them and then giving cards to each of the players, right? So this would keep it all central in one place, right? I'm doing it in a player controller, but there's no reason why it can't be done, well, again, no reason why it can't be done in a player controller on the server, but it only happens on the server, right? And that would keep the whole thing in one place. So the server would deal out the cards, and then all you need to do from there on in is have the rules on the server for like poker or cribbage or whatever card game you so desire. Magic the Gathering would be slightly different, because what you'd have to have if it was online is either A, you would have different sets of cards, or the player on the client would be able to pick the client would also have the list of all the cards, right? And then they'd have to make up a deck, right? And then if it was legal, then the server would save that deck and deal those cards to that player. And similarly for the other player, right? But that's kind of how I would go about it. Don't know if that's how it's done in online Magic the Gathering, or whatchamacallit, or Hearthstone. But yeah, as I said, doing something like this as well, I'd never thought about that. I'd never thought about how the likes of Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering or any of that would work online, but doing this, it kind of starts to make sense, right, of how you'd have to actually go about doing it, right? So it's another thing that you've just had a thought about, and you try to solve the problems, and if it ever comes up in a game that you're making, then you've kind of already solved a few of the issues that you know you're going to have, right? And the point here is, if we click on the thing, it's going to tell us, you know, the value and the name of the card. So that's 10 and 10C, right? That's not been filled in, but it's the Queen of Hearts, right? So basically what you could do now, right, is, if I stop this, what you'd have now, right, is something like, let me see, we'd be going to cards, right, and we'd be going to the card itself, okay, and we'd be going to the graph, okay, so basically what we'd be doing here is we'd be looking for a mouse over, okay, like an unhovered, okay, and what we would do is we'd create another widget. So it'd be user interface, widget blueprint, right? And this would be our like W card actions, right? So this might be just you'd maybe have a canvas panel, right? And then you'd have, let's wrap this with another one. Right, and then you'd probably have something like a vertical box. Right, and that vertical box would then have, let's say, a button. Right, and that button would then have text. Right, and let's say the first one was, right, you would have views, then you would duplicate that, then you might have discard, something like that. Then on each of these you'd have a bit of padding at the bottom, let's say. This canvas probably be like a size to content one. Compile that. So if we go back to our card, right, we would create widget, and we'd probably pass in the card details with this one as well. But this is going to be card actions, right, and then we'd add to viewport, right, and then on button 0 on unhovered we'd basically get all widgets of class, and that's going to be our actions, right, and then we're basically going to do a for each, and we're going to say remove from parent. Okay, so that's going to get, basically on unhovered, it's going to get rid of all our tooltip, basically. Well, sorry, our pop-up, which is going to be, as you can see, there it's up there at the top left. Disappears, disappears. Okay. So you'd obviously move them and have them inside here, right? Well, that's how I would go about it. So yeah. So I think I'm going to call that for tonight, guys. It's been a little fun one, working with cards and decks of cards. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed it, and I'll be back tomorrow at 2 PM. We'll probably be back to normal scheduling, which is to say we'll be back to Grimland. So thank you guys for watching. Check out the description for links to, what have I got links to? Discord, my personal Discord, Patreon, my previous game on Steam, Kickstarter preview, and website. So thank you guys again for watching. I'll be back tomorrow 2 PM Central. Bye bye for now.